There is a type of person almost everyone has met, and many people quietly are. They are polite, agreeable, patient, understanding, always trying to keep things smooth. They avoid conflict, they choose their words carefully, they don't want to upset anyone, and when tension rises in a room, they are the first to soften their tone. They believe they are doing the right thing. They believe kindness builds respect. They believe if they make others comfortable, life will move smoothly around them. And yet, something strange keeps happening. They get interrupted. They get talked over. Their ideas are ignored until someone louder repeats them. They are the ones people vent to, but not the ones people listen to. They are appreciated, but not valued. Liked, but not respected. If this sounds familiar, it's not an accident, and it's not bad luck. It's psychology. There is a quiet misunderstanding happening in the mind of the nice person. They think being easy to be around increases their social value, but in reality, being endlessly accommodating without limits lowers their perceived weight in the social hierarchy. Humans don't just respond to kindness. They respond to signals of strength, boundaries, and emotional solidity. And when those signals are missing, the brain places you in a different category. Not consciously, not maliciously, but instinctively. Nice people often grow up believing that tension is dangerous. Conflict feels like rejection. Disagreement feels like risk. So they adapt early. They learn to smooth things over, to read emotions, to adjust themselves so others feel okay. This becomes their social strategy. But here's the hidden cost. When you constantly adjust yourself to prevent discomfort, you signal that your comfort is negotiable. You teach people without saying a word that your needs come after theirs. And humans quickly learn patterns. They learn who pushes back and who bends. They learn who holds their ground and who gives way. And over time, they treat you according to what you have trained them to expect. Think about conversations. A nice person gets interrupted and lets it slide. Someone makes a dismissive joke, and they laugh it off even though it stung. Someone asks for a favor at an inconvenient time, and they say yes to avoid awkwardness. Each moment feels small, but psychologically, these are signals. Every time you accept a small boundary violation without correction, you lower the perceived cost of crossing you. And respect, at its core, grows where there is a cost to overstepping. Not aggression, not anger, but a quiet consequence. Distance, firmness, a subtle shift in access. When there is no cost, people stop being careful. The nice person thinks they are being mature by tolerating everything. But tolerance without limits is interpreted as low resistance, and low resistance does not command careful treatment. People are not thinking, I don't respect this person. They are simply responding to the emotional information available. You appear safe to disregard because you have never shown otherwise. It is not cruelty. It is social physics. Consider the difference between two people in the same environment. One is always agreeable, always ready, always accommodating. The other is calm, polite, but has edges. If they are busy, they say so. If they disagree, they express it without apology. If someone interrupts, they continue speaking until finished. The second person is not rude, but they are not endlessly flexible. Subconsciously, everyone in the room feels it. One person can be moved easily. The other stands where they are. Humans assign more weight to the one who does not move easily. Nice people often confuse kindness with self-removal. They think reducing themselves makes space for others. But social respect does not grow in empty space. It grows where a person's presence feels solid. When you hide your opinions, soften your preferences, and avoid expressing discomfort, people cannot feel your shape. And when your shape is unclear, your presence feels light. Not because you are insignificant, but because you have made yourself frictionless. And friction, in small doses, is what gives a personality structure. There is another layer. Nice people fear disapproval more than disrespect. Disrespect feels bad, but disapproval feels threatening, so they tolerate small dismissals to avoid larger confrontations. They would rather feel internally frustrated than externally disliked. But here's the paradox. The more you avoid disapproval, the more you invite subtle disrespect. And subtle disrespect accumulates. It erodes confidence. It builds quiet resentment. The nice person starts feeling unseen, unheard, undervalued, but still continues the same strategy, hoping eventually kindness will be returned with recognition. Respect is not a reward for goodness. Respect is a response to psychological signals of self-worth, and self-worth is communicated through behavior that says, "I matter too." Not loudly, not aggressively, but consistently. When someone believes their own time, comfort, and boundaries matter, their actions reflect it. They don't rush to please. They don't over-explain. They don't laugh at things that bother them. They pause before agreeing. And that pause alone changes the energy. It says, "I am considering this," not automatically submitting to it. Nice people often believe that setting boundaries makes them unkind. But boundaries are not acts against others. They are acts for yourself. The problem is not kindness. The problem is kindness driven by fear. There is a difference between choosing to help and feeling unable to refuse. One comes from strength, the other from anxiety. People feel this difference instantly, even if they cannot articulate it. Kindness from strength feels generous. Kindness from fear feels like self-protection. And self-protection energy does not command respect because it signals vulnerability. Look at who you respect, not who you like, but who you instinctively treat carefully. They may be warm, but they are not endlessly accommodating. There is a line. If crossed, you feel it. Not through yelling, but through a shift. They might withdraw. They might become cooler. They might say calmly that something doesn't work for them. That quiet firmness creates psychological weight. You know where they stand. You know they value themselves, so you adjust. Nice people, by contrast, try to be everything to everyone. They smooth every edge, remove every potential point of tension, and in doing so, remove the very structure that makes a presence feel solid. They become easy to overlook because they have made themselves easy to step around. And again, this is not because they lack value. It is because they have not signaled their value in a way social instincts recognize. There is also the dynamic of unlimited availability. The nice person gives time, attention, emotional support without limits. But anything unlimited loses perceived value. Scarcity creates importance. When access to someone feels guaranteed no matter what, people unconsciously place them lower in priority. Not out of cruelty, but because the brain conserves attention for what might be lost. When you never pull back, never say no, never create space, people never feel the need to step toward you. This is why the nice person often becomes the background support character in other people's stories. Always there, always helpful, rarely central. And the painful part is that they don't want to dominate. They just want to be treated with equal regard. But equal regard requires one uncomfortable skill: the willingness to let others feel mild discomfort, to say no, to disagree, to not immediately rescue the emotional atmosphere. When you say no calmly, you create a moment of tension. Nice people rush to remove that tension. But tension is not always bad. Small, controlled tension communicates boundaries. It says, "This is where I end." Without it, your edges blur. And when your edges blur, your identity softens in the eyes of others. Respect begins to grow the moment your internal rule changes from "I must keep everyone comfortable" to "my comfort matters too." That shift alters micro-behaviors. You stop smiling automatically when something irritates you. You stop agreeing instantly. You take a breath before responding. You let silence exist instead of filling it with reassurance. These subtle changes signal self-possession, and self-possession feels powerful. People respond differently when they sense you are not chasing approval. Approval-seeking energy feels fragile. It says, I need you to like me. And humans instinctively test what seems fragile. But the energy of someone who is okay with being misunderstood, okay with someone not liking them, feels stable. Stability attracts respect because it feels immovable. The goal is not to become cold, distant, or aggressive. It is to let your kindness be a choice, not a survival strategy. When you help, it is because you want to, not because you are afraid of saying no. When you listen, it is because you care, not because you feel responsible for everyone's emotions. That difference transforms how your presence is felt. As this change happens, something interesting occurs. People start being more careful with you. They think before interrupting. They notice your reactions more. They value your time more. Not because you demanded it, but because you stopped giving yourself away without thought. Your energy shifts from "please like me" to "I respect myself," and people tend to mirror the level of respect you show yourself. So why does nobody respect the nice person? Because niceness without boundaries is self-erasure. It removes the signals that communicate strength. It makes you safe, but not solid. It makes you pleasant, but not powerful. And in social dynamics, pleasantness does not protect you from being overlooked. The solution is not to stop being kind. It is to stop abandoning yourself in the name of kindness. Keep the warmth, but add structure. Keep the empathy, but add limits. Keep the politeness, but add firmness. When kindness is paired with self-respect, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes presence. And presence is what people cannot ignore. The moment you believe deeply that your needs and comfort matter as much as anyone else's, your behavior changes without force. Your voice steadies. Your pace slows. Your yes becomes deliberate. Your no becomes possible. And others feel it. They adjust. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally stopped disappearing inside your own goodness.